Hey, yeah. Good for you. Good girl. Good. Good. Good for you. All right, so just start off with Jewel here. Starting to rain in the arena. Not too fond of those snow water dripping down on her. Starting to warm up a little bit, so I guess that's a good sign. Girl. Just let her have a little look around here. So I didn't do anything with her other than just bring her in and get on. No groundwork or anything today. No kind of letting her move around and see if she needs to kind of run off some energy or anything like that. Just kind of want to start her right from, just bring her in, tack her up, bring her in and get on. And so she's, you know, she has this tendency to her to be a little bit on guard and kind of anxious and nervous a little bit and a little bit wound up. You know, that's just kind of her natural way at the moment. She's always a little bit on guard and sort of waiting for something to kind of surprise her, or she's just sort of waiting all the time. And so a large part, there we go, a very big part of the work that we've done with her up to this point is just kind of starting to let her feel that she can let her guard down a little bit, kind of start to breathe and relax and just settle down, you know, open up the body, get a little length in the body. She's good. She's kind of, you know, she's built short coupled and blocky, so she has a tendency of kind of holding herself in a little bit of a package, kind of tight and restrained a little bit. And then mentally as well, she's kind of always searching and looking and scanning for things that are going to jump out and attack her. And so because of that, she's, you know, being a little bit wound that way. Good girl. She has, it's pretty easy to kind of trip the trigger and set her off. Now when I say that, I don't mean that she, you know, she bucks or rears or anything like that. She has never offered anything in that regard. But she'll scoot off and she scares herself and kind of runs off, and she's quite quick. You know, she kind of does that, sometimes can do that sort of drop down and spin sideways type of thing that just makes the horses, especially the smaller horses, kind of disappear out from underneath of you. So just been working a lot on kind of slowing her movements down in the body and kind of just helping her feel a little different way of moving, a little softer, better, a little softer, easier way of moving that feels better and allows her body to kind of relax into it a little bit more, and then allows her to mentally kind of let down as well, so that everything isn't so rushed and short, quick steps, really kind of rapid fire reactions to things in her mind. Just trying to soften the body, lengthen the body, open it up, so that we take some of the tension off of that spring, and then it's much harder to trigger it and to set her off. And it just feels better and helps her develop the strength and the balance, both in her body and mentally as well. So just really kind of trying to focus a lot on those types of movements and that type of feeling in her, so that as she progresses, we can start to encourage the relaxation in the movements. Good girl. Good. Encourage that relaxation and that letting go and that softening. Good. I'm kind of working, you know, pretty early on really bending through the body. Good. Contracting in this case, contracting the left side a little bit and expanding the right side. And I'm going to start to adapt that same feeling in my own body. You know, so if I need to really turn my body into the movement here and open up the right side of my rib cage and the right side of my hand, my arm, and really give her the space to go out to the right here and really shorten the inside and start to expand the rib cage on one side, shorten the rib cage on the other side. And that just encourages her again to open up in the body, to let the muscles go, get a little bit of length, and then to start to take deeper breaths, fuller breaths. Good girl. So wherever I need to place my body right now to really help her get a feel for what it is that we're looking for, then that's how I'm going to sit, or that's how I'm going to hold my hands or hold the reins or whatever I need to do in order to help her find that positioning herself. And I'm using quite a lot in conjunction with the rein, the neck strap as well, because it's really easy for her to roll up and curl up in the neck and get tight and then start to get a little bit of tension in the body and a little bit of tension mentally. So I can work the reins as much as I can, but I can also communicate to the shoulders and the base of the neck and the chest area, good girl, with the neck strap. So all the while we're working on these things, we're still trying to encourage the neck to be long. Of course, that'll get better as she gets stronger as well, but we can start working on that early on in the training. Good girl. And just starting to play with my body position here. Good. So if I sit a little bit here, I'm going to shorten the left side of my body, the left rib cage, create a little bit of bend in my body, create a little bit of bend in her body, work the shoulders over to the right. Good girl. Then sit straight and then sit a little to the right. Start to initiate those turns and all of these bends from the movement or the position of my body. Then swing a little more with my hips maybe to encourage a little more stepping through. Good. And the more that we just kind of keep mixing in these little moments, the more her focus comes to us. Right shoulder, thank you. That's it. And we get her attention on us a little bit more and a little less on the outside environment. She starts to make that connection a little better in between us. Good. Conversation starts to flow a little bit more. So we're not just walking around aimlessly doing nothing. We're mixing in a whole lot of little things, little moments, little movements as we go. Good for you. Yeah, good. Good. So because of her tendencies to be a little bit skeptical of things, we went through a bit of a stage where in the riding part, first with the groundwork part with some of the tools and stuff, and then into the riding part when you touched her with your legs or you made a bit of movement with your body, she would kind of tense up and want to scoot away from that. So a little bit ticklish to the leg, kind of wanting to run away a little bit from it. Now she's getting to the point where she's okay with all of that, and we can start to put the leg on in different places and touch her and then ask her to go forward from it. So oftentimes there's a little bit of a desensitizing that has to happen to where they're not running away from the leg, and then they get a little bit too desensitized where we can then start to sensitize them to responding in a more positive way to the leg. Good. Good for you. That's it. And so sometimes in the work here, I'll just go with a little bit of a hovering seat out of the saddle, trying to stay in contact with it so I can still use my seat to communicate a little bit with her back, but not sitting too much that she starts to feel she can't bring the back up underneath of me. I don't want to squish her back down. So just going really light. Good. Good girl. And so sometimes with horses that have the tendency to be fairly reactive to things and sensitive to things, there can be sometimes people that work around them kind of don't want to upset them or don't really want to do anything that gets them a little bit elevated in their emotions, so they kind of start to work around them in a really slow, quiet, careful way, you know, almost a little bit sneakily. And horses like her, that oftentimes just tends to make them a little bit more skeptical and kind of uneasy because you're sneaking around them so much that they start to get a sense of something must be not quite right. And in an attempt to try to help them be quiet and get quiet or stay quiet or not get upset, you can oftentimes, that gets a little bit counterproductive. So you have to be able to bring the energy into the situation, help them understand how to manage the energy without overwhelming them and making them afraid. But you can't just kind of really kind of sneak around and be quiet and try not to upset the apple cart at all. You have to push into that discomfort. So it's oftentimes just finding a balance of pushing them a little bit, challenging them a little bit, but not over-facing them and making them scared. But if you never go into those spots, you never really come through the other side of it. Good. So lots of, you know, walk breaks for her, and not a walk break where you're not doing anything at all, but just giving her some time to soak on a few things and just kind of, if she starts to get her emotions elevated a little bit and starts to get a little stressed, you can bring her back down and then go back into some work, and then, you know, just kind of play within that range until she starts to develop the ability to go further and further into what was once a really uncomfortable spot. And she starts to be able to manage that much better on her own. Good. Good. And again, not really trying to worry too much about where her head and neck position is, unless it gets, you know, to a point where you kind of really have to help her a little bit. But for the most part, just really kind of trying to let her find her rhythm, her balance. Good. Letting her kind of carry her head and neck where feels more comfortable to her at the moment. And it'll start to just slowly shape itself more and more as she finds more and more comfort in what she's doing, and the stresses that once were quite a bother to her start to go away. We'll work on that inside hind a little bit here. Good. That's it. Good. So you can bring the inside shoulder over a little. Good. Bring the outside shoulder around. Good. Now the right hind. Yep. 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 Trying to get back to the wall. Good for you. And the right shoulder. Good. And then the outside shoulder, the left one. Good. And not dwelling on those things, just like all the rest of the work, not staying there for so long that it starts to agitate her and make her feel like she's not doing it right, as to why we keep on drilling it over and over again. Touching on it, just bringing up the difficulty level a notch or two, and then going away from it. There's a lot of confidence building for her. That's important. And she draws a lot of that from the rider. So the more that you can find in your own body, kind of letting go, checking for any areas in your own body that might be tight or tense. If she starts to get a little bit tight or tense, or even if she's not, but just kind of checking yourself. Good girl. And letting go in those areas, bringing your attention to those areas and then letting go. And then she starts to feel that in your body. She starts to let go a little bit more in her body. So it's the moments with the stage of training with horses like her that you kind of have to not be afraid to ride kind of sloppy. You don't want to be really rigid up here and making her feel that there's a lot of tension in your own body. So sometimes with horses, sometimes the rider can get a little bit stuck in the mentality of having that vision in your mind of how you should look when you're riding. Good. But in order to help these horses feel a little better, you have to be open to riding kind of loose and sloppy. That doesn't mean that you're flopping all over the place and scaring them a little bit, but they have to feel that you're not trying to fix them into place through the tension in your own body. Come. Good. And just kind of pushing into a little bit more movement once in a while. Not really focusing a whole lot with her on really trying to strive for driving forward at the moment all the time. Helping her kind of slow the movement down and find the balance a little bit more. And then we can, as we start to add in the forward parts and the idea of the bigger movement later, we can go into that in a balanced way, as opposed to just kind of kicking and gunning for wide open throttle. When she's unbalanced and worried, you'll be covering a lot of ground, but not in a very good way. And she won't feel good about what she's doing either. So it goes largely back to just helping her feel better about what it is that she's doing. Good. And sometimes just kind of playing a little bit with bringing the energy up quite a bit, almost a little bit surprising to her. To see how she reacts to it. So I'm just going to start to kind of create some energy with my legs here, a little more than is necessary. So I'm not going to kick her with my legs like bump, bump, bump. I'm just going to swing them back and forth. I'm going to start to jog a little bit and just see how she... God. So what once would have kind of set her off not that long ago, now she has a little better handle on. We'll try that one more time, and then that's good for that. So it's going to set her up here. I'm going to kind of start to move a little bit in my body, my legs. Good. Yeah. Nice. That's pretty good. And she's starting to get to the point where we can just ask her a little harder question once in a while. And she's a little bit more open to the idea of trying and a little more willing to say, well, I don't know what you're looking for, but I'll give it a shot. In the beginning, her go-to was like, no, how about we not do that? Again, nothing mean or dirty about it, just her attitude to work, super, was not that great. Easier to stay on the couch. Come. Good. Easier to stay on the couch than it is to get up and go to work. Good for you. But as she starts to understand a little bit more, there's a little more clarity in why we're doing the things we're doing. She's starting to feel a bit better in her body and her mind. So then it's kind of like going to the gym in the beginning. It's not always comfortable, but once it starts to feel better, then you kind of look forward to doing it. Pay attention. Yeah, good. Yeah. Oh, it's okay. Good. And again, when trying to get the canter, she picked up the incorrect lead a couple of times. Not getting too worried about that. Just give her the time. Just really looking at how she builds to the canter transition, how she takes the canter, And then the ability to kind of stay within the canter on her own, not trying to influence it or fix it or make it good or do this or that or try to put that image of the canter that everybody visualizes. That'll come. Right now it's just her finding a way to organize her body to pick up the canter, not getting mentally frazzled about, oh God, we're gonna go fast, I gotta rock it off, and just trying to be a passenger that is helpful. I'm not gonna try to make everything good. I'm not gonna try to carry her or hold her. Good. But rather just try to be an influence when I need to be and stay out of her way and let her develop the balance and the strength and the understanding of how to carry us both in the canter. So here, you know, in this little kind of Western pleasurist sort of walk with her is something that I really don't mind at all. She can kind of reach out and stretch the neck and get the body. I can just sort of swing my seat in rhythm with this walk a little bit. But the relaxation that she's starting to find right now is, I'm good with that. I wouldn't want to ride here for a few weeks because we'll get stuck in the sand. But for now, for her to offer up this just kind of really slow kind of, it's okay for me. Good. And then we can start to energize. Good. So I'm going to switch diagonals here. Try to encourage her. That's it. Let her canter. Encourage. Go quiet. Yeah. Yeah, good girl. Good. That's it. And so yeah, she's come a long ways in the last couple of months. We got something now that we can develop and work with. You don't have to kind of be, at least at the stage she's at with me right now, I don't feel like we kind of have to disarm the bomb very often or kind of try to talk her down off the ledge. She's a little bit more focused and coming into work. That may change when she goes to a new place and new people again, but we have a pretty good start on the base where it shouldn't take her long to kind of return to this sort of feeling where she's, yeah, okay, let's go do some work. Sometimes if she has a couple of days off, say on a Monday morning or something, and she comes in, you can either approach it where you could lunge her a little bit. I'm not a big lunger, but you could let her free in the arena, let her play around, see if she has any energy she needs to expend. Or as you get more comfortable, or whoever's riding her, what I often do on a Monday is I'll bring her in and get on. And if she feels like she sometimes just has this desire that she has to go, she finds comfort in the movement. So if you're trying to constrict her and hold her in a little bit if she feels like she's got this energy and she wants to go. Oftentimes on a Monday morning type of thing, we may be cantering within 45 seconds or a minute, just on a nice, and she just kind of has to get the wheels rolling and get the body moving and just kind of get that energy out. Again, she's not rocketing off, she's not bucking, kicking, rearing. She finds comfort in motion, so she has to be like here, so we're just working a little bit on her ability to to be able to stand still when she has the opportunity. I'm not going to, in some cases, if she's moving around a little bit, somebody might start moving their feet and really kind of taking the energy to them and then giving them the opportunity to stand still. With a horse like her, oftentimes when you do that, you just wind the spring tighter and you'll be out here all damn day trying to get her to stand still. We just give her the moments when they're there and let her just kind of come to these conclusions a little bit on her own that, yeah, when I get a walk break or the ability to just stand still, it's pretty nice to have that coffee break. So, yeah, like I said, if she works regularly, consistently during the week or whatever, usually the rides just kind of build on one another. If she has a couple of days off, you might spend the first 10, 15 minutes just kind of getting the wheels in motion and letting her warm up and getting everything loosened up. And then you can just go from there. But if you try on a Monday morning to kind of hold her in and restrict her and make her walk and do this and do that for a few minutes or 10 minutes, 15 minutes before you go into the trot or the canter work, she tends to get a little bit really bunched up and short and then the body gets tight. The anxiety starts to build. Her mind starts to go a little bit all over the place. And so nothing wrong with letting her canter within the first few minutes of the ride, and then just coming back and working on the slower stuff after that. Same thing with sometimes you can work her a little bit longer and lower in the neck right from the beginning of the ride. Sometimes she'll be a little bit more elevated up here in this position for a while. That doesn't matter either. You can work the stretch in after. You don't have to go. Sometimes you have to start at the other end of the scale and then work your way down to the lower end. Just so long as you can kind of mix in both sides of it, find the balance, then you're good. Right? Yeah. Okay, thank you. We'll talk to you soon.